continue with the works, and I'm going to give the floor to Dr. Natália Alves. Just a few words to say that Dr. Natália Alves is an associated professor at the Institute of Education of the University of Lisbon. That's the biggest university in Lisbon, a public university. We are very glad to have her here because we are a private institution, but we are proud that to have the collaboration of all the colleagues that is helping us during this event and not only in this project. Dr. Natália Alves has a large curriculum, as you may assume. She started as a primary school teacher, and she dedicated her time to research on sociology of education. Her most important interests are, of course, school education inequalities. She has a lot of published articles and chapters of books regarding the different issues around educational inequalities, and some work also considering those VET courses, adult education as well, long life learning. So I think that we will be enriched. No, Natalia, thank you very much for accepting our invitation, and I give the floor to you.
Thank you, Anna, for your kind words, and I want to thank you for the invitation to participate in this meeting, and it's really a pleasure to be here with you. I must say that probably all of us would enjoy being face to face, not in this very strange virtual world, but nevertheless, it's a pleasure to be here and to share with you some of my thoughts about vocational education in Portugal. And I will use the expression because it's easier, IVET. And by IVET, I mean initial vocational education and training. And because it's a better word to refer to all kinds of provisions that we have. And what I decided to do, first of all, I decided not to have a PowerPoint presentation. I must say I'm really tired of PowerPoint, so probably it's not a very good option, but I'm really tired, so I decide just talk and let's see how it goes. Probably it's not the best choice, but let's see. And what I'm proposing to do is to give you an overview of the IVET provisions in Portugal. And I must say that from where I come, and probably it will help you to understand my thoughts, is that I'm not very interested in practices. I'm more interested in policies. So my approach is about the policies, okay, analysis of these IVET provisions, and this will allow me to understand and to discuss which are the most important aims of IVET in Portugal over time. And to do so, it's really just very quickly, which are the main characteristics of the IVET in Portugal. And then I will develop 3 main ideas that can allow me to introduce you to the most important moments of IVET development in our country. So the first characteristic, and when I talk, okay, just to begin with, we can find a moment to the beginning of the IVET in Portugal, and that moment goes back to the middle of 18th century. And since that moment until now, it's possible to find some characteristics that even when the provisions change, they remain the same over time until now. And the first characteristic is that from a curriculum point of view, all VET provisions in Portugal tried in somehow to combine general and scientific subjects with technical and practical ones. This may be, for me, this is a very important point, because we know that in some countries, these professional courses, these IVET provisions are mostly an instrumental ones, and they are very focused on practical, and they lost all the component of general and scientific subjects. So this is one of the most important characteristics of the IVET provisions in Portugal. The second one is that somehow these provisions were never a cul-de-sac. This means that they are not an non-ending pathway. They always, at least from a formal point of view, they allow students to pursue their studies, even at tertiary education. And I must say that is formally, because it was very difficult, and it has been very difficult for students who attend professional courses, vocational courses, to enter into university, because the examinations, they are very hard, very difficult, and the kind of education they have and learning at this kind of courses, they don't allow them really to be in an equal position to compete to enter into the university. Something changed in this year, and for the first time, there are special examinations for students who attended the professional courses to enter into the university. So they don't need to compete with old colleagues that were trained to be successful to enter into the tertiary education, and now they have a special pathway to pursue their studies. So this is something that changed, but nevertheless, since the beginning, it was allowed, formally at least, to enter into the university. And this is different, as you probably know, from what happened in some European countries. The third characteristic is that IVET provision is always legitimized from a political point of view using an economic discourse. that emphasize the need of qualified workforce to support in some periods what was called the country modernization, and Anna talked about that when she explained to us who was the Ferreira Dias, the engineer responsible for the electrification of the country. And okay, so in some moments we talk about countries modernization, meaning mainly economic modernization. In other moments, we talk about the importance of IVET for economic growth, and more recently, we have the focus on the knowledge society. So what I mean by this characteristic is that there is always a very strong economic discourse to legitimize this kind of provisions. And the fourth characteristic is that IVET in our country has always been the result of a proactive state policy. What do I mean by this is that opposite to what we find in other countries like Germany, Austria, Switzerland, where the employers and the firms had since the beginning a very important role in this kind of provision, and they put pressure on state to develop and to fund and launch the IVET. In Portugal and in most of the Mediterranean countries, there is a disengagement of the firms and employers towards the IVET. So this has been always a public policy. It was always the state who took the first step to develop this provision, and they try to seduce firms and employers to engage themselves in these provisions. And the fifth, the last characteristic is that IVET has always been a second choice. It has never been the first choice for students. And we could hear, okay, when one of our colleagues from the school spoke about the school, he told us that okay, it's a kind of a second option. And to whom? To working class youth, people coming for students, and young people coming for disadvantaged backgrounds. And as we know that disadvantage is very correlated with school failure, most of these students have a trajectory of school failure and in some cases of dropout. So, being this said, I come to my 3 key ideas to discuss IVET and to relate it with the most important policy aims over time. And I call it first moment, it's IVET and social control. A second moment is IVET and equal opportunities of access and success. And a third moment in the present is IVET and inclusion. And these 3 moments, they are related with what I understand as the main goal of this kind of provisions. And the first moment that comes from middle of the 18th century until the 1974, when we had the revolution and we became a democratic society, IVET was used to control social mobility in one hand, and to control the fabrication of the elite in Portugal. And it was a way, and this was doing by having a very restrict access to tertiary education. And when the pressure from working class people became bigger, and it was essentially in the 50s of the last century, the government option was to to reinforce this technical education. And by this, they could select people and and this was done even by the location in the country. We had two pathways, the technical education and the lyceum. The lyceum was mainly in the most important cities, and the number of lyceum was very, very reduced. Opposite, the expansion of the schools network was done by the creation of industrial and commercial schools. And by this, the government, they could answer to the pressure of the working class students for their expectations to have their children in school and having a better education. So this was really the main goal of the IVET, was this social, what I call this social control. And it was very, very successful, because when we had revolution, democratic revolution, half of the students were attending upper secondary education. They were enrolled in these technical and these technical courses. After the revolution, in the middle of 70s, these courses, all these courses and all these pathway, this technical pathway, has been shut down, using the idea, and this remains until today, that there was a huge social segregation among the different courses, and it was supposed to deliver equal education to everyone. So we, probably you know that at this time we had all a movement within European countries that came to the comprehensive school in UK, and with the comprehensive school in France. So we had some countries using these democratic ideas that technical education was a very segregative one. They decide to close these courses and have, during the compulsory education, the same curriculum to everyone. In Portugal, we had the same movement. And at the beginning of the 80s, we start to rebuild the IVET track, let's say. they say so. And at that time, the main objective was to fight school failure and dropout, which were they were huge, and we were trying to enter into European community, and our rates were really awful. So we had to do something to fight against this problem. And the most important expression used at that time was to fight for equal opportunities of access and success of the students. And IVET was presented as an option for the students who were looking and needing for a different kind of learning. The problem is that these students who need this different kind of learning, usually synonymous of practical, are always the same. Those who came from disadvantaged backgrounds, and we are always reproducing a kind of social selection in these courses. And this is a problem because these courses are always, they don't have the same social value, if I may so, when compared to the courses from regular education. And at that time, the fight for equal opportunities of access and success was really the main goal of these policy measures who try to rebuild the IVET track in Portugal. And it lasts until the end of the 90s. And then we have a change of discourse. And now IVET is concerned with inclusion and to promote inclusion. Okay, and I must say that for me, inclusion is a very tricky concept, or at least using Bauman expression, a very fluid concept, because this is one of the concepts that we accept that we don't need to define. Everyone knows what inclusion means, but the problem is that inclusion means have very different meanings, first of all. Second is that inclusion is a part, and I'm very critical, so I hope that then you will have plenty of questions. But for me, and from my point of view, inclusion is a concept or a notion, at least, that is being used and associated with the neoliberal discourse about education and about social policy, educational policy, and so on. And why do I say this? Because when we talk about equal opportunities, we are talking about a state responsibility, and we can put pressure on state to provide effective equal opportunities to everyone to access and to have success at school. When we talk about inclusion, this means that, okay, the most problem is to include. But what does it mean to include? To keep students inside the school, to include them in rich learning environments, to do social policy, I don't know. So inclusion for me, it's a very vague, fluid concept that puts the blame on schools and on people and not on state. And we are talking about public education. And it's a very okay, fluid concept. And since this century, it's a very, very important policy word. It's in the agenda of all the policies, but really, I think it needs to be discussed. And for us in education, we need to discuss what really inclusion means. But, okay, accepting that inclusion is to have the students inside the school and to allow them to accomplish the compulsory education. In this sense, IVET is a success in Portugal. And what do I mean by this is that we, for the first time in our history, we mean to reach the compulsory education and accomplishment of the compulsory education that now is the 12 years. So it's the secondary, upper secondary education using these IVET courses. And this is really very important because for the first time since the 70s, we have almost half of the students who attend secondary education enrolled in the most important IVET provision at the moment, which is the professional courses. They have a very important success rate, and it seems that these courses are a kind, they have a role to reconcile students with the knowledge and with learning. And for me, in spite of all the criticism that I have against, according to this kind of provisions, I must accept that nowadays they have a very important role in the education of the youth, the Portuguese youth. And they have really, they have a role in securing effective equal opportunities to every student. And okay, I think that's all for now.
Thanks a lot, Natália. I think it was very clear, your discourse. Actually, you didn't need the PowerPoint.
Oh, thank you.
But I'm already asking you if you can, I think you have your notes written down. If you can provide us with your words, will be fantastic, because this event, all the materials produced for this event are going to be used on courses that we are undertaken during next year, developing this project, this STAIRS project. So if it is possible, please give us the notes. So
okay. Not now, not today, because I have handwriting, so I need.
Okay. It's
okay,
no problem.
I will do it, surely.
As you can. So how are we going to proceed now? The participants are going to small groups for 15 minutes to discuss what they have heard. And after those 15 minutes, we are come back to this main room to raise questions and to get the answers from the presenters. So if you don't mind, they are going to work for 15 minutes and afterwards, I hope you'll be available to give the answers that I'm sure they are going to raise you. Okay?
Okay, of course, I will be available.
So,
yeah.
Dear colleagues, the rooms will be open in a few seconds.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
And we'll be back in 15 minutes.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, dear colleagues. I'm sorry, I was on the phone when they had, with the headmaster of the Ferreira Dias School. She apologized for not being with us. She is trying to join us in few minutes. The question is that she indeed prepared the presentation this dawn at 2:00 and 53 minutes in the morning, but she is very busy with the pandemic situation in her school. They have a lot of cases every day. Is needed to change the procedures in the school. So, but she is going to try to join us in few minutes. So let's start with questions. Please feel free to raise all the questions and we are going to try to answer your questions.
Okay, if no one, yeah, if no one wants, I will start. Hello, I'm Irma from Croatia. Thank you very much for a very interesting presentation. I have to confess that we recognize many points that we have also in Croatia related to the VET programs and education. I would ask you if you can tell us something more about these special exams for the VET students who wants to enter the tertiary education, who wants to go to the colleges. Is it only to make them easier that step, and after that they have the same programs as any other students at the university, or does it mean something else? And what I also want to ask, when you presented this video about the VET school, you mentioned some learning center supports for learning, or learning support centers. What is their role in this system? Thank you very much.
Okay.
Shall I answer now? Yes, I think it's better. Yeah. Okay. So I think Anna is in a much better position to explain what are these exams the students had to do, to perform this year, because while you were working, we were talking, and we were exactly discussing this topic, because at our university they implemented this kind of examinations. They are different. Okay, and for me this is a very important question, is that if we accept difference as an important value, then we have to be coherent. And by this, I mean that they cannot be evaluated, assessed by the same means and with the same instruments than the other students. So yes, they have a different examination. And I think Anna can tell you, because it depends on schools, universities, and polytechnics institutes. They were allowed to have a special exam for these students, because the exams to entry into the tertiary education, they are national exams. All the students have to do the same exam, and in the case of the students from the professional school, the courses, they are different. And I think that Anna can explain what they did at a university, because at mine we didn't do this. We have students from professional courses, but they did the national examinations. And the second question, I think it's for Anna too, because it concerns the video, right?
Okay. In those schools, as you have heard yesterday about TAPE, territories, they have resources. They can manage a bunch of resources to invest in promoting students' learning. And they have several options. They can, as you understand yesterday with the presentations we followed yesterday, you can have two teachers running one class. You can have in the library of the school teachers that attend students with difficulties and help them to understand the subjects and to improve their knowledge. You can also have one of the ladies that talked during the video is one of the psychologists of Ferreira Dias School. And I think from her words, you understood how close the office that she runs works with the students of Ferreira Dias. They are very close to them, identifying potential, interests, and difficulties. And as the school, as Pedro Abrantes said yesterday, have a credit of hours to promote students' learning, the school can organize itself, setting teams that invest in helping the students to learn more, mainly overcoming the difficulties they have. What I want to stress is that each school organizes itself considering the resources, the different resources the school have to invest in students' learning. The video said the center because they are organized in a certain way that they can call this supporting learning service as a center. They have a team of teachers that is supervised by the psychology office, and they are in all the students at the same time know that they have that service that the school provides, and as either themselves look for that service, either the teachers mainly the teacher that is responsible for the class, can orient the students to use that service. The teacher, the man that talk also, he particularly is very committed. Actually, he is some kind of pedagogical leader of the teachers that teach professional courses, and he is very focused on methodologies. For him, and he tries to influence his colleagues. For him, it's very important the way the teachers work with the students within those courses. The teaching is very focused on the relation between theory and practice. On the other hand, they try to contextualize any subject that they study. And on the other hand, they are very concerned, and they supervise very closely what we call learning in work context. It's a very important experience for the students, where the students are in work environments, and they are not just there, they are supervised. And in Portugal, we use to assemble teams that work together and try to involve the students in a way that the learning environment is sometimes completely immersion. So a learning center can be different from school to school, but in this school really benefits of these different features. I hope to have answered to your question, Irma. Okay. Now my assistant is going to share the screen with other questions. Let's see what the questions are, or which the questions are. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So, Natalia, do you mind?
Okay, yes. So to the Hungarian colleague, no, by IVET, I don't mean it's vocational and technological courses in regular secondary schools. Okay, so how do the students enter 10th grade? By enrolling themselves. Okay, they but here we have they can choose, and they decide which course they want to attend, and there are no exams and nothing similar to enter into the secondary education. Okay,
sorry, just can I clarify, because we were thinking of the school that we saw in the morning, this Ferreira Dash. Is it like is it a school like this?
Yes.
So is that a general school where they offer VET classes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Since 2007. Okay. All almost all secondary courses, schools, they offer general courses and vocational courses. Okay, it depends on their tradition, because the former lyceums, they are very reluctant to have these professional courses. In the opposite, formal industrial schools like Ferreira Dias, they are very keen to have these kind of courses. That's why they have 430 students, more than a half of the secondary students, they are attending the professional courses. A kind of tradition.
Okay, so that's why they are non-grouped schools. That's why they are not in clusters, because they are from the previous kind of system. They used to be, okay, all right, thank you.
Yes, exactly. So the other question is about how the VET students enter tertiary education. That's for you, Anna, to option for to enter. No, we heard that only. No. All schools, all students are allowed to apply for the examinations to enter the university, both national examinations, which are very difficult, or these special ones that were launched this year. And that government, these companies, to, okay, what do I refer? It's a metaphor, because they don't receive, okay, opposite to what's happened, for instance, in Germany, where the companies are financed to provide dual system, okay? In Portugal, they don't. So they only do it if they want to. And in most cases is based on the relations between schools and individual employers. So, and they try to seduce them to have internships and, okay.
But it's based on their network and not on financing.
Yes, so, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly, because they are not financed to have internships, no. And in Portugal is 12 years. So it's this is for Czech Republic, and it's 12 years. So it refers to the upper secondary education. We are repeat here due to the social. Will they then receive basic education? Can you please explain me this question? Because will they? We are interested in students who repeat the year due to socially disadvantage. Will they then receive, due to repetition, a basic education certificate? Can you please explain me? Because I'm not sure.
Natalia, maybe we have to stress that all students have to finish the 9th grade to enter the secondary upper school. Yes. Maybe it's not clear for people, for our colleagues. No, students have to finish the 9th grade with success, and the 9th grade includes 2 national exams, Portuguese and mathematics. Yeah. And only after that, the student can enroll in the 10th grade and start a professional course or a VET course. And those courses are indeed offered by a regular school, a previous lyceum or a previous technical school, as we are considering now Ferreira Dias. okay? Because I think that's not clear for our colleagues, that the kids have really to accomplish the 9th grade, and that finishing the 9th grade, they have to do their national exams. Just 2 national exams, Portuguese and maths. And they have to succeed well in one of them, Portuguese or maths. They don't finish the 9th grade without that, even if they experience difficulties or repetitions. About repetitions, nowadays we are very reluctant to do this to our kids. But we still have some that really have to repeat. But we have now, since I think 2014, a new program in schools that they benefit for mentorship. And the teachers are assigned to that job to mentor the kids with a background of repetition, and they are helped to develop their social skills, to adjust their behavior to a learning process that leads them to be successful. And they have to be successful. Otherwise, they won't go on profiting from what the system has to offer them. Let me see another. As we explained, the second question of the Czech Republic, as we explained yesterday, within any school, we have a multidisciplinary team. It's a team. It's not one teacher specialized in special education. It's not just one teacher, but we have special education teachers in every school in Portugal. But now, since 2 years now, they are a member of the multidisciplinary team that works with the kids that in school have special needs, of course. But now, and as I explained yesterday, those kids are most of the time with their regular classes, and they can profit from different and qualified services. They can have individual teaching, they can have individual learning plans, they can have a lot of resources to overcome the difficulties and to apprehend and learn the essential core of the curriculum. So we are very focused on leading kids and youngsters to apprehend the essential core of the national curriculum. Okay, and previously one of the questions regards the exams at the university for people coming from professional courses. The exams are delivered within the university, and once the students are approved in those exams, they follow the normal curriculum at the university. They don't have a different curriculum during the graduation. And I was telling Natália on the intermission while you were working in national groups, that in our university, Lusófona University, we are realizing that actually students coming from professional courses make a difference to students that come from regular courses. And the difference is positive for the students that come from professional courses. They are much more autonomous learning. They perform better looking for information, selecting information. They are more critical and they are more demanding on the part of the teacher at the university. The students coming from regular courses are very much used to exposition. They are waiting always for the teacher to tell them what they have to learn, to explain every subject, and the students coming from professional courses are much more autonomous learning. So they make a difference in a better way, because the secondary school in Portugal, 10, 11th and 12th grades, are very focused on preparing the students for the exams based on the cognition and the knowledge, just the knowledge, the conceptual knowledge of topics of the curriculum. And so they are very dependent on that knowledge and that path of acquiring that knowledge. And they are not so critical, they are not so proactive, and so on. And well, let's go on with the question. I'm sorry, Natalia, to take over.
No.
But,
So,
okay, Slovenia now, I think.
Slovenia, yeah. The ratio is about 40 for general education and 50 for practical and technical. Who are the school assistants? Who are the school assistants? Are those who are doing, I don't remember who are they? Anna, do you know?
School assistants, it's now the professionals that, or how can I say that clean the rooms, that take care of the facilities, that's that kind of professionals that watch students during the playground and so on. We have in our schools that kind of professionals that take over all the things that the facilities need to be clean, organized, working, and so on.
Okay, so how do you identify students who need school social intervention? Okay, they need to apply for this benefit. It's a kind of a benefit, and the benefit is. Oops.
We should ask Jitka, can you please mute your mic?
Okay. Okay. And they must show their taxes. Okay, the paper that we present, we need to present to the state to show how much we earn.
The income and...
Exactly, thank you. Yeah. The income. And then according to the per capita family income, they decide if they belong to group A, B, or C. A is for the most disadvantaged ones, and they benefit from books. Now, not anymore, because now the books are free of cost for everyone. But meals and school equipment. The B, I think it's only meals. The C, I don't know I don't remember anymore. Do you remember, and which are the?
Not exactly, but what we can say to our colleagues is that A is the most needed and the C the less needed. But the support provided is all the support. Well, the meals are always included. They provide meals at school for kids. But they can provide, they can provide learning equipment, and A, they can provide other supplementary support. For instance, if a student is from a very deprived family, and if he's a very good student at school, they can receive other benefits, for instance. Including money. But this is mainly support in meals and learning equipment. As Pedro Abrantes told you yesterday, within this pandemic situation, there are students from Group A that are going to receive a computer and internet access for free, because the family won't be ever able to provide those equipments for the students. And already know that within the pandemic situation, those were the students that got behind most. Okay?
And the last one. Okay, the psychologists at schools, they are mainly guidance counselors. And also, they deal with psychological problems of some students, but their main task is guidance.
Yes, I can confirm that and stress that psychologists are not allowed to undertake therapy within the schools.
Yeah, right.
You see, they don't have the therapeutic service to provide. They are not allowed. Within schools, it's the policy we have enforced. Within schools is educational environment. It's education that is performed within schools, not therapy. But the technicians working within schools can orient, can guide the students and the families to have counseling outside the school. Okay, they can see that the family or the student need that and advise them to look for and to bridge sometimes the two environments of the kids or the youngsters or the families. Is there any more questions?
Not here.
Só aquela questão de quantas vezes
Beatriz is saying to me that on the chat, it was on the chat, the question?
Yes.
Okay, a question was raised on the chat about how many times a student can perform an exam. But I'm not sure that if the question focus on the 9th grade exam or the exam to enter the university.
I think it was the 9th grade. Yeah. And I answered.
It wasn't ours, but that's how I understood too.
Yeah, they can try until they are successful.
Yeah, successful. Yes, but just once a year.
Yeah, once a year, exactly.
Okay.
Posso interromper a partida?
Okay. So, dear colleagues, if you don't have Any other question?
Estamos 15 minutos adiantados.
We are 15 minutes ahead. So if you have more questions, please feel free to raise them. Either Natalia or me will be very pleased to answer your questions.
Absolutely. They want to have a break. And a nice cup of coffee or tea or whatever.
Yeah.
Can I just ask one question? I'm just interested in those students that go on to the university, you know, they have the VET qualifications. We have something similar? Do you follow them in terms of how they get on in tertiary education? Because we have something fairly similar. We have places reserved for students from disadvantaged backgrounds who have VET qualifications or have some type of qualification that is similar to the degree that they're entering. But they require, I suppose the concern is when they get to university, they require an awful lot of support. It's not just economic, it's also the social and the academic and I suppose it's what you call cultural capital, what Pierre Bourdieu calls, you know, they require a lot of support. We would find that retention of the students that don't complete their degree, they would be the category that really at that stage are at high risk of dropping out. Do you have any numbers or any data on those students that enter higher education? Or do they get supports once they enter the university system?
Mm-hmm. Natalia.
This is, we have some figures, and we know that the dropout rate is really high.
Yeah.
In all system, in all the tertiary education system. A more focused approach is done by each university and by each school. I can tell you what's happening in my school. My student, okay, our students, they come. Okay, we have a degree on education, and probably it's the same in your countries. But education is not the most sexy graduation that you can have. So our students are coming from lower class, popular classes background. And what we have, and we created, and it's working, we have mentorships. Mentors are the other students, and they have a group and they support them. And as we are a very small school, we have a very close relationship with students. It's much more difficult when we have classes with 200 students. Ours, they have only 35, so we know all of them by name, and we have a very close relationship. So we try to follow them and to support them. So, but it depends. It depends very much on the culture of the institutions, and also the dimension. Because when you have classes with 200, 300 students, it's almost impossible to support them. So unless they have special, and we also have a special office to support students, so they can go there if when they don't feel well and they need some help, and they don't like to be in touch with professors. Then they go to this office where there are psychologists, and okay, they talk with them, and that's the.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fairly similar to us. Thanks, Natalie.
And concerning the new policy, it's still soon to have numbers. I think we'll have numbers later on. But every university have that office, that counseling office, because the numbers also tell us that the second year of any graduation, the students tend to depress a little bit. So we have those counseling offices at the universities. Ludmila, I think, raised another question on the chat. Let me see the question.
The state.
The state, exactly.
Yeah.
Any other questions? What do you think, Adele? You are the boss.
No, don't say that.
I'm teasing you. I didn't mean that. I'm just teasing you.
No problem. Well, we can have a bit longer break. I think we deserve a coffee or tea.
Okay.
Or whatever.
So let's start the break, and we return 11:30. Is that the case? You see, tá a ver, Natália?
Very nice.
And why are we not there? Come on.
Okay, so see you, Natália.
See you. Thank you.
Natália,
thank you very much.
Once again, a lot of thanks for your contribution.
Yes,
and
thank you.
Thank you so much for the invitation, and I wish you all a good afternoon work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
See you all soon.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So, bye.